It's only common sense that bad video games should not be able to sell impressive amounts of copies, but sometimes they do, and as unbelievable as this might be, these totally unimpressive titles managed to cash in loads of money, even becoming best-selling titles for the development companies that created them and the publishers that spent money on hyping them up. In today's video, we're going to showcase 10 of the worst video games that managed to trick the market and make a huge profit on the backs of consumers. A rather controversial title, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare managed to heat things up among the gaming community, its Xbox and PlayStation installments receiving good reviews while its PC counterpart falling far behind. While the campaign and the zombies mode were appreciated by a majority of people, the gameplay was considered to be stale and without any innovative features, its futuristic setting being the main drawback. However, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare managed to sell 1.8 million copies in the first week of its release, bringing a lot of money to Activision's pockets. Criticised for its departure from the classical horror genre the fans were used to, Resident Evil 6 offered quite a good storyline, but it wasn't enough to bring in the positive reviews the developers probably wanted. The interwoven campaigns it featured were yet another aspect the reviewers found badly implemented, the dialogue sequences being dubbed idiotic. Despite this, Resident Evil 6 is Capcom's second best-selling title, with over 6 million copies sold. Game of War Fire Age's massive success is most certainly the result of their extremely aggressive marketing campaign and the crazy amount of in-game microtransactions. Of course, having Kate Upton clad in a sexy Roman tunic also did the trick, but let's not dwell on this more than necessary. For a title that grosses an estimated $1.5 million a day, Game of War Fire Age is a pretty bland game. The graphics are unimpressive, the gameplay is dull, and the game itself is very, very boring and slow. There was so much hype surrounding Aliens Colonial Marines after its exceptional demo at E3 2011 that gamers saved up some money to buy the title when it came out. However, even though the game sold a very respectable number of 1.31 million copies, it was not as good as the community expected it to be. To be honest, it was so bad that Gearbox and Sega were even sued by a group of angry players. It had game-breaking bugs, an inconsistent storyline, and a general bad taste that left gamers totally disappointed. A war between the Nintendo and the Sega mascots was born in 1991 when Sonic made his first appearance in the world of gaming. As a consequence, when Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games was first announced, the community was buzzing with the thought of having two gaming icons from the different developers co-star in the same game. However, upon release this title failed to impress, the Wii controls being pretty bad and the mini-games becoming boring after a while, yet the game still sold over 7 million copies. Lost Planet Extreme Condition was a game with great potential. Still, the terrible bland voice acting and the incredibly poor translations totally destroyed what could have been an entertaining third-person shooter experience. The combat was first-rate and the gameplay was really solid, but a dismal story coupled with the problems mentioned above really ruined the Lost Planet Extreme Condition. Somehow, despite all its criticism, this title managed to sell 2.8 million copies and cash in a lot of money. Video games based on movies rarely end up being any good, and Enter the Matrix is no exception. This title associated its name with the blockbuster The Matrix only to get some good sales numbers. But unfortunately for gamers, it was nothing like the movies. In fact, the game was terrible in every single way. The graphics were jaded, the controls were faulty, and the amount of bugs and glitches made it nearly impossible to play. However, just because of the motion picture's success, Enter the Matrix was able to sell 5 million copies. If you're a fan of Sonic the Hedgehog, you'll surely remember this abysmal game from Sega. It was just so bad in every imaginable way that it gained quite a reputation for its clunky controls, the mountain of glitches, and the weird storyline. The developers also tried to add humans to the game's story, and it just ended up giving the whole thing an uncomfortable bestiality vibe. Still, Sega's colossal failure of a game sold a solid amount of over 1 million copies. A Bug's Life never managed to fill the original movie's boots to become a good video game, its vibrant colours, cheery musical score and well-done graphics being its only strong points. The gameplay was the exact opposite, with stuttering mechanics, dull platforming and an overall slow pace that it manages to bore even the most patient gamers. We know that it's practically a game meant for children, and that's the reason why it offers more simplistic controls, but it's still way too slow to be enjoyed by anyone. Nevertheless, it managed to sell 1.5 million copies, which is truly amazing knowing its faulty content. Wii Play offers 9 minigames that are meant to introduce players to handling the Wii Remote Controller. The gameplay is simplistic and uninteresting, resulting in many people getting very bored of it in just a few minutes. Casual titles such as laser hockey, billiards and fishing being the main attractions on the Wii Play. Even though it looks more like a compilation of demos, this game collection managed to sell an immense amount of copies, more precisely 28 million of them, which is downright insane when you think about it. This was our list featuring some of the worst video games that managed to make huge amounts of money, and we hope you've enjoyed our video. If you did, please press that like button as we do appreciate it and it helps us immensely. We often ask our audience for suggestions to compile these lists, and if you'd like to contribute, please follow Frag Hero on Facebook. If you know of any other terrible games in this situation, feel free to post them in the comments below because we do try to read pretty much everything. Now would also be a great time to encourage you to subscribe because we upload new stuff all of the time, so subscribing will keep you up to date with all of our latest videos. You can also check out fraghero.com for more gaming related articles, but until next time, thanks for watching and have a great day.